this is the place where I came to write the book, What Makes Us Human. And also the earlier one, Qu'est-ce qui nous rend, la Sida, la bataille peut être gagnée, which was written in French, was also outlined there on that bench up there. And this house is a special house. It was made by my friend Suwat. Some of the material that's here came from the house where I used to live when I came in Thailand, or I came in Payao, to try to understand why in this part of the world people have stopped the epidemic of AIDS. When I was here, there were funerals every week. People were dying. You know, it was a real disaster, yet they stopped it by themselves. What was going on? And so I was living in a small house there. That house got disassembled and came into being again into this big house which I'll show you now. Look inside here, it's a big hall. And when my friend Suwat showed me that place, he said, you know, this can be the place for global knowledge. Well, in a way it became, because you see that bench there, that table? Well, on that table or another one similar to that one, I wrote What Makes Us Human. I came here maybe 5 times, wrote every time 2 chapters in this place. I wanted to do it here. And so maybe we can walk around and maybe try to understand what was attracting me here. So let's walk. This what is very inventive. You see the entrance to the house. And it's all made of old agricultural and also weaving material. You see this one here is to weave cotton, to make the cotton. My God, some work, huh? Yeah. Then there is for the weaving itself, there up there. Then you have this material from oxes, so all kinds of things. But he built the whole thing. Look at the festoons there, these metal festoons. Well, he designed them, and then together with other people, he handmade them, every single one of them. Now, take a look from there. See the house here. When I met Suwa, he invited me here. He was the official in charge of monitoring the AIDS epidemic. And so, just to give a figure, 1 out of 5 military conscripts in 92 were living with HIV, were found to have HIV. So it was a very, very serious problem here. He was in charge of monitoring the epidemic and monitoring how also the behavior of the people. Was it changing, yes or no, in response to the epidemic? And so we befriended because I thought he had some very amazing insights. He could take me into a community and he would help me see things that no one walking through the street could see. So one day he said, well, do you want to see the place where I'm living and I will live in the future? He had at that moment also a government house, but we would come here. We are 14 kilometers from Payao Center, where we used to work, and that's his house. So he built that house. This is all traditional, except for the roof. He had to replace it. It was wooden tiles. Now it is some metal roof to the left there, that was my little room, and he lives here. That's his place. At that time, there were only a very few buildings. And one day he took me here, somewhere. See the You see, in this place, you still see some rubble there. In the back, there was a very little, you barely could stand there, thatched roof, little hut. And in that hut there was a Buddha. And he says, oh, now this evening I'll go for my meditation. Do you want to come? I say, yeah, why not? And so that was the first time I heard the basics. Say, you know, the Buddha was a man. He was a usual man like you and me. And he taught us things, but always he said, you have to try it for yourself. If it doesn't work for yourself, just leave it. So he said, here is something. Try to be conscious of your breathing. It was the first time I discovered that, and just try to follow, breathing in and breathing out 10 times. Being conscious of your breathing, 10 cycles of breathing in, breathing out. I start breathing in, breathing out, 3 times, boom, my mind goes. I say, what's going on here? And so I realized how much my mind was all over the place. And I just could not go to 10 conscious breathings. Say, interesting, the extraordinary response of that is happening here in northern Thailand might have to do something with Buddhism, but I had no clue about what that might be. I just had that feeling. You see now, there is a building. You see in the back to the left, you see some very little places. These were rooms, and then in the front, toilets and places for shower. And behind is a house. You see a car there. I don't know if you see it from there. You can walk a bit. And these were all the buildings that were there 20 years ago. What was happening here was that Suat slowly invited people with AIDS to come here to meditate, not only sitting and being mindful of respiration, but also through work. Because at that time, once you had the symptoms of AIDS, you had some rash or something that was clearly coming from AIDS. People knew they had 2 hours to live. Not 2 hours, but 2 years to live. That was the end. And so people had to deal with what we all have to deal with, but unfortunately very often try to forget, is we are mortal. We will die. And they got that news straight in the face. You're 25, you're 22, you're 35, you will die in 2 years. And of course this is a news that you have to swallow, deal with slowly and understand. And say, oh, well, let me live a meaningful life for these 2 years. And that was the purpose of Suat inviting people here. So let's walk around. You'll see then that the community around and people from afar help Suat. First, the community next door here, the village next door, gave the land, which is quite big actually, probably a few hectares. And this was a gift by the community, because they saw the purpose of his work and of his way of approaching people with AIDS and approaching communities. So they said, well, we'll give you this land. Then people started making donations. And what we see here are the results of those donations. Let's go. So this stupa is totally designed by Suat designed it. For years it was white or whitish, you know. Then in the recent years it was golden. All the details you see there. First his design, and then two were part of the work of volunteers, and at that time, 20 years ago, of people with AIDS. So you see here, for instance, the work. You can only do this work if you are concentrated. You see, concentration is key. The first thing is to be mindful, says Thich Nhat Hanh. Mindfulness, being in what you do. And the second thing is to be concentrated. Concentrated on what you do. Not letting your mind go all over the place. So that was what Suat does with volunteers, and again at that time people with AIDS. Because, and this is understanding I later got from the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, deep understanding comes from mindfulness and concentration. Then you start seeing life differently. You can see the ultimate dimension of life, which is not linked to time, which you can touch at any moment if you just stop. To reconnect with the deep meaning of life. So let's get in. This is the evening meditation temple. That's where we find ourselves. And Suat comes every day for his evening meditation. He then follows the teaching of a particular monk who sits in front there. Oh, he said he has 1,000 records of his teaching. But what I found striking, what I always remember was those drawings behind the Buddha. I asked him, what are those? Oh, he says, when I meditate, I see those things. Like they are part of the universe, so I told him. That was his answer. See the floor here? Maybe in the sun? Yeah. Yeah. All these stones are precious stones. They are donated by people from Payar. And the round stones have all been, what is the word in English? Polished by hand here. Always the same idea. These are things we can do so that we concentrate our mind. So now we can see and walk around, and I'll show you, don't worry. And so here you see all around all these pagodas, Ananda Pagoda. So all of them are replicas of the most famous pagodas in the Buddhist world. This is a replica, if I understand right, it's written Shwedigong, but I guess it's what we call Shwedagong pagoda that is in Myanmar, in Rangoon or Yangon. And so all around you have those pagodas, the most famous pagodas around. So now we go to the Morning Pagoda. This is also a place that is being used for and we for meetings. There is a meeting here today to prepare for the inauguration of the temple we'll see in a few minutes. There you can see what is this? What is this thing? All those sitting Buddhas, you know, like they are in an army or something. Well, these are all donations from the people who came to provide those molds from which you can then make Buddha statues. So there are more, but you can see those ones already. So we'll get in and see what's happening here. Maybe you'll stop and we'll ask.